YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, or should I say Heir of End Times, because we're back in the end times, and I'm ready to keep the apocalypse rolling with that savory, salty flavor being added by Patchy the Eversalt, who's rolling with Sigvald. Let's start off. I'm going to hit a couple of the main comments from the last episode, and then we'll get things underway. The first obvious comment to address is the many that were like, hey, Heir, don't do the battle without your voiceover. Got it. Message received. I'll tell you what actually happened. There was microphone trouble that night, and it was going to delay me a couple of days because I wasn't going to have a chance to record for you all, and it had already been too long, and I was like, you know what? We'll test it with just some cinematic shot here and see how it goes. Obviously, you all didn't like it. No skin off my back, but I was trying to get something out there, and at the same time, as I watched it, I was like, I don't know, I get some really nice cinematic shots here. But hey, got it. Not going that direction, so don't worry. Voiceover's back. Voiceover of all the battles, so worry not. Archaon the Ever-Chosen. He can actually build another building. I'm trying not to get him too singled out here because there were quite a few Empire stacks around. I think I'm just going to go ahead and move up to this choke point. In a choke point, Archaon's army would be near invincible. And let's see what, if any, buildings I want to build at this point. We've built everything here except for the Chaos Troll lair. I'm going to go ahead and do this one just in case we decide to pick up some Hell Cannons. We've actually got enough to do the Chaos Troll lair because we had so much growth with Archaon. Because he's been fighting for a while and hasn't been stopping. Prince Sigvald and Patchy are ready to siege Norden, which is going to be a significantly garrisoned settlement here. That is a lot of Reichsguard. But you know what? We got a lot of stuff too.
Unleash chaos.
Let's go ahead and... I do want towers. And the reason being is they have a lot of guns. I don't want to wait. I'm too impatient for this. Continue the siege. They do have too many guns, but I'm just going to go for it anyway.
I foresee destruction.
Alright, so we're going to get in here to Norden, and we're going to wreck it. I'm going to see if this is a custom map real quick. We are taking on the Castellan engineer, Volkmar the Grim. It is not a special map, one of the standard boring ones. Folks, I know you didn't like it. You said that you missed Heir's smooth tones coming over the battle. So, it's back. You can even see the God rays back there. I'm going to try and be as smooth as Mr. Burton Guster, if you all ever watched Psych on his radio. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. Seriously, though, but that was a good show. So, welcome to the battle. My Hell Cannons are opening fire on the walls, and the citizens of Norden are being bombarded. Holy crap, that's a beautiful picture, by the way. Maybe not for the citizens of Norden, but for my hordes it is. And speaking of hordes, let's go get a good view of them as they approach the city. Oh man, the Everwardens. Such beautiful units. We got our aspiring champions mixed in with the warriors of chaos. The Mirror Guard on the far flank over here. I'm going to allow the bombardment to continue. Meanwhile, I've got Sigvald ready, and as soon as all of the monsters and stuff come in, all the leaders and monsters, I'm going to have them go pound through the gates so that we can create multiple entry points. My main infantry body is going to hit the gates here, and you can see that I'm using my Hell Cannons to soften these guys up substantially before the fighting begins. So I'll let you all see this up close. Woo! That was a nasty shot right there. Technically looked like it may have supposed to have been a miss, but it wasn't. Alright, so my infantry reaches the walls. They're going to hoist the invisible ladders that they carry, or that the enemy leaves buried in the grass there, which would be a strange thing to do, but one way or the other, that's what's going to happen. Oh, I love it. Yeah, so the Hellstorm rocket batteries are going to continue to fire, but here comes the brave warriors of chaos over the ladders and into their prey. Beautiful. And my Chaos Warriors will be the superior force here. There are a pretty good number of greatswords that could put up a decent fight against some of the infantry units in Sigvald's army. You can see here my horde of hideous creatures from Patchy's army is ready to go start crab clawing their way through the gates. So they'll start doing so. You can see that it is quite the horde. I've even got my Gorebeast chariots. Dude, look, that guy's like sliding along the ground without even moving his arms. That was some pretty sick stuff. They got skills. You can see that the men of the Empire on the inside of the gates about to have to face off against a very terrifying horde of chaos creatures who are going to make their way in. I've got the Forsaken making up a second line, including the Demon Spew. They're going to be moving up and putting ladders on the walls and coming in as well. So this is a huge battle. Large siege battle here at Norden. We have the walls being scaled, and we are winning the fights over here. I'll let you all see. Just the fight here goes well for me. The Forsaken are now at the wall, and we're about to have a breakthrough at the gates as they are near to destruction. They are breached, and my monsters are going to head in, and at the same time they'll be supported by the Polisher. He's going to lay down some golden hounds here to help, you know, tenderize the enemy greatswords a bit before they're faced by the monsters. Oh, this game looks so good. So we've broken through the gates, and my Forsaken are now scaling the walls as well. They'll be able to come down soon and begin fighting. I'll just get you all a view of them. So move along the walls here. Forsaken are going to be great at cleaning up the skirmishers and lightly armored units, flailing their crab claws and mutated bodies all over the enemy. The Demon Spew especially will excel. I think they're actually having to fight greatswords though. My armored infantry is piercing its way through. We are taking some mortar fire on the walls, and I'm using the Helm of Discord and Final Transmutation to quickly melt my way through the enemy infantry that's guarding the gates, and they are losing this fight very quickly. You can see my Regiment of Renowned Trolls, as well as my Weird Spawn, looking particularly awesome. And you can see that the Empire Captain routes quickly, and I'm able to punch through the Empire infantry. There are quite a few pockets of resistance left. My few remaining units, which are Chaos Warriors with halberds and Warriors with great weapons, are going to siege another piece of the wall, as there is even more infantry back here. Let you all get some sweet views of that action as they come across the walls, and the Empire defenders are trying desperately to hold their settlement, but you all know as well as I do that this effort will indeed be in vain. The Reiksguard are going to hold strong momentarily. They're going to come and keep my monsters at bay, buying some precious time for the artillery and units in the back, but it is time that is no longer going to even make a difference. I do have some units in the back that I never pulled up here. This was some Chaos Knights. I could have pulled them forward, but didn't see them. And then I believe I actually forgot about my Hell Cannons at some point here too. I'm moving them up. I was thinking about bringing them inside, but I don't end up using them for the rest of the battle as I don't really need them. This is mostly just a slugfest through the remaining units inside the walls. Here's my Gorebeast chariots beasting their way through the Empire troops. All of my leaders are here as well, including a character, Polisher, Patchy the Eversalt, Sigvald. They're all on there cutting their way through these Reiksguard and great swords. And it shouldn't be too much problem for them. It's just going to take time because of that heavy armor from the Empire troops. My infantry has now broken off the walls. You can see the Mirror Guard came through here relatively unscathed. Sigvald would be proud, except for the dirt and blood found on their uniforms at this point. But they are valiantly leading the armored infantry component of this army. And you can see that my warriors with halberds and great weapons have also come back. Here's my cannons parked here. Yeah, they're going to get charged by a regrouped Reiksguard. No wonder I didn't catch this in the battle. Yikes, they're going to die. That is very unfortunate for me. I guess that is the Chaos God's way of keeping me somewhat humbled at this point. I used the Searing Doom there to soften up those handgunners and get them out of the way. The Empire troops continue to try and regroup and bottle me up here, but my monsters are ready to move forward. I'm going to push these Outriders out of the way and then come slam into these halberds, and then eventually I'm going to start working my chariots and other units around this way to try and surround everything that's left here in the victory point in the plaza. This many trolls and chaos spawn just causes insane damage to infantry units regardless of whether they're anti-large. The damage output of these units is extreme. Not to mention their mass and charge bonus is quite good, so you can see even with the somewhat cramped environment how badly the halberds get beaten up on the charge. I'm going to use a bombardment spell that's bound here. It's basically like a asteroid storm here. So that'll do some good damage to the Empire troops who are camped out there in the center. You can see their mortar battery taking heavy damage. This forces their final Reichsguard units into the fight. I have the leadership coming in over here, and let's take a look at Sigvald as he marches victoriously into Norden. Scion of Slaanesh, leading his armies to victory, making his god proud, and wearing metal underwear while he does it. Nothing's more comfortable than metal chaps and underwear. I'm sure there's absolutely no chafing, and it's very comfortable. Marathi can probably attest to that as well. We'll watch the last few Empire troops fail. You can see Volkmar back here refusing even to fight, just trying to lead his troops, and he'll be utterly defeated. Insignificant Volkmar. His title, the Grim, something of the past, something that hasn't been seen in this campaign. These units will no doubt flee for their lives at this point. An impressive victory for Prince Sigvald and Patchy the Eversalt, the true avatar of air. Volkmar taken off his pompous high horse, humbled yet again by the servant of Slaanesh. His beauty, Sigvald's beauty, just can't be stopped. Really, we lost the Soul of Damnation and the Hell Cannon. I disapprove of that. I mean, I know I let them get killed, but I still disapprove of it. They were still alive at the end of the battle. There was no need for those units to be 100% gone. CA, please. Let's see here. I think it's if it gets below a certain percentage, probably it gets rid of the unit. I'm going to finish Hammer into Anvil for Sigvald. And then for his Metal Sorcerer, the Polisher, who polished off a lot of enemies in that battle, I might say. And I forget about Transmutation of Lead. It's also a very helpful spell right now. Let's head into an encampment with the Eversalt. He can do all of the nasty creatures that he needs to from either of these trees. Let's see. It's probably good to be able to re-recruit chariots at this point, but I also want to have Crushed Skull Foe Stomper. We just can't do it until I get enough horde growth here, which I could wait one more turn, and I think I will. Archaon is just going to stay where he's at, which leaves us with just Felman Ingerson and Kolek to deal with here. Felman Ingerson having just won an amazing victory, having led the Dragon Ogres of Kolek and his chariots to great victory, already living up to his name and the stories that were told of him. Let's do a vigor loss reduction. That would be pretty important for the whole army there.
True chaos awaits.
We've recruited this Death Sorcerer here to accompany Felman. I need you all to name the Death Sorcerer. Oh, you know what we'll name the Death Sorcerer? I know what we'll name him. Reptile King forever has been asking me to name a character Cocoa Pox for Nurgle. At least I think that's what it was. If I got it wrong, Reptile, then you can tell me. And no, this isn't Cocoa Puffs, like the delicious cereal. This is Cocoa Pox. I guess it's probably Nurgle's servant. So there we go. He's going to go spread plague amongst his enemies. We can give him a hand weapon. No talisman. With this pendant of Slaanesh. Wow. That's actually pretty amazing. There's also a potion of strength, but that probably doesn't best fit him. As far as arcane casting items, nothing real great here yet. I will go ahead and use the Scroll of Power for now. And then this research buff there. And that's all that we can do with that character. We're not going to move anywhere with Kolek because he's busy recruiting Felman's army, which is this marauder troll. Crap, why can't I remember their name? Manticore army. Yeah, sorry folks. Took me a second. And the Kentucky Friar of Flame and Salt can now be leveled up as well. I think Burning Head's actually pretty dang good, especially when you get in those siege battles. Let's go with that. Well, so Prince Sigvald has a quest here. Have 2 chosen with great weapons in his army. Kind of stinks because we're gonna have to break character, but we'll do what we have to do. He does have the right building for the recruiting, and we actually have a couple open slots right now because we're waiting on getting our Soul of Damnation and the other Hell Cannons left. So let's just put those 2 units in his army. But first, let's march forward before we start recruiting them. Let's take him out of his encamped stance. Move him forward.
Forward unto slaughter.
Now we'll hit the encamped stance. Recruit the 2 chosen that he needs. We're not quite up to the highest chevron level with a couple of these units where you all told me to turn them into chosen when they reach it. They're not there yet, but they will be soon. Looks like Patchy's army moving up here. We're going to do the Ruinous Warhost for him. We are laying waste to the Empire to a very significant degree. Why is proximity infighting? I'm wondering, I had a mod I thought that got rid of the infighting with chaos. It could have just been certain units. Because you see, none of the units in this army have suffered infighting, nor have they before with any. But as I recruit these Marauder units, they're suffering from infighting. So I wonder if that's something that's not covered, potentially. It's a little confusing, to be honest. I'm going to have to wait to join Cocoa Pox into his army. So not just yet. Appius Rollus levels up. The Vampire Lair, as you all have named him. So, told you, Appius, stay away from the vampires. They're no good. Haven't you seen Twilight? It's just nothing but trouble and teenage drama. Let's see, with Archaon, we finished Hard to Hit, Deadly Blade, Thick Skinned. I mean, I'm just gonna put even more armor on there just because I can. Charge is really good too. Look at this, folks. We got a big fight on our hands. The Supreme Patriarch, Balthasar Gelt, and a huge number of Reichsguard, who are actually not being led by the Reichsmarshal, Boris Todbringer, are coming to fight us. So we have a huge battle on our hands. Patchy's army is at essentially full strength. Sigvald is missing a couple of units because he didn't technically get to finish those chosen with great weapons. That's a bit frustrating, but we should have a big, fun battle on our hands. The battlefields outside Salzenmoon, the armies of men rally. One of their last opportunities to try and stem the tide of chaos, and even if they are to defeat Patchy and Sigvald, they will still have to deal with the ever-chosen Kolek and Felman. But nevertheless, they've summoned their men, the state troops are gathered, the Hellstorm rocket batteries and cannons are prepared, and good grief, if these cannons fire, it's going to be fratricide. But the armies of chaos approach in the distance. They're pathetic leaders here. The Reichsmarshal, Boris Todbringer, who doesn't really even have any Reichsguard in his army at all, is in the army of Balthasar Gelt, the Supreme Patriarch, who once again is fighting the forces of chaos. No doubt he'll be trying to fight them from a distance. You can see the forces of Patchy and Sigvald approaching in the distance, his monstrous legions, the shining armor of the Mirror Guard. This army is truly a fright to behold. This is Sterlin's Revenge. So Sterlin's Revenge is here. I don't know what they're getting revenge for, or if they will attain any sort of revenge whatsoever. You can see the distance closing, and the Reichsguard is going to marshal forward and try and lay down the first hits on the Chaos armies. There you can see Sigvald and a character. The Reichsguard's going to charge in, and I'm going to stop them with my Chaos Spawn, and then bring some Chaos Trolls with their armor piercing to help stave it off. I'm going to give you a quick overhead view. There is a huge clash as the two lines come together. On this flank, my Chaos Knights have been supported by another armored troll, which will do tremendous armor piercing damage. And all across the line, my men are moving into position. Here in the middle, Balthasar uses a Golden Hound, but it's going to be quite ineffective. I've used the Helm of Discord by contrast, and I see a good opportunity here for that rock spell, the Asteroid Storm, if you will. There's a lot of blobbed Empire infantry here being attacked by Forsaken, so we're going to do some pretty good damage to the Empire infantry, and then I'm going to start breaking out some more damage for all of the Empire here with Final Transmutation to help slice through the middle of the Empire army. My chariots are hitting there. I have a lot of heavy hitting troops coming in. The Empire has a huge line of guns back here. My cavalry has broken free, and I'm able to start pushing through. I'm going to rear charge this infantry over here, as well as hitting it with a Searing Doom, because it's well packed tight. Here comes my aspiring champions and warriors with great weapons. The Empire gunners, who think that they're about to have a field day here, actually have another thing coming, as my armored trolls and Chaos Knights are now bearing down on their position. Balthasar is staying back from the fight. He's finally going to move forward and try and get himself involved, and he's moving into a very dangerous fight here that's full of chariots and Chaos Spawn. This is going to be the end of the guns, as they're all caught and will be routed. There is still a steam tank back here for the Empire, the unbreakable Leviathan of machinery for the state troops. Right now it's trying to fire at my knights with lances, do some damage. It will be the last surviving unit. There's a little foreshadowing for you. All of my Chaos Spawn have broken through, and I now send Sigvald over to deal with Balthasar Gelt, to send a message to the Empire that it's time to surrender unconditionally and allow the apocalypse to take place. Stop resisting, Balthasar, stop resisting. He flees. I'll try and chase him with trolls, but he is amazingly slippery and fast for a man made of metal. The Reichsmarschall, on the other hand, has avoided the fight for nearly the entire time, and only now comes down into the fight with my armored Chaos Trolls and supporting his halberds. Back here, there's a few remaining Empire troops with some fight left of them, but with the rout of Balthasar, these troops are not going to be fighting for long. My trolls and knights are finishing off the Reichsguard and destroying their artillery pieces, which will leave only the steam tank in the defense of the Empire at this point, and it's going to be absolutely mobbed by everything I have left at this point. Chaos Knights looking particularly awesome. You can see that there is quite literally nothing else left of the Empire army, just a small pocket of resistance over here, and the chain route is now contagious. So at this point, it's just a matter of hunting down the steam tank. I have some chariots here, not particularly made for anti-large, but they do armor piercing, as well as my Chaos Trolls, so the steam tank will be quickly overwhelmed. All of the leadership coming in here as well as they put down huge attack. Everybody's going to come in and rip this tank to shreds. For Khorne's bloody glory. Sigmar and his armies lie in shame. His memory. His memory no more. A close victory? I don't know. I think that's probably overstating the work of Balthasar Melt and Toddy Todbringer. Two clearly not worthy individuals to be leading troops of the Empire as they can't attain victory against, again, armies that aren't even Archaon. So it's like I'm taking it easy on them. They fail miserably. Miserably. We picked up an arcane item. The Scroll of Amber bound spell, the Amber Trance, absorbs leadership from enemies. That's pretty cool, actually. So, we defeated Balthasar, which gives an extra 6 armor to all units in the army. So that's pretty nice. Unfortunately, the Kentucky Friar was wounded. I'm trying to see who that was. Was he wounded in combat? Was he wounded prior to the battle? Yeah, wounded. Kentucky Friar. Filthy vampire skank. How dare she? Embed a Chaos Sorcerer into Sigvald's army. That is going to be a success. Move a character to the Gormandy Mountains. We no longer have a character just standing in the Gormandy Mountains, unfortunately. But the defeat of Balthasar and his lackey was thorough and complete, leaving Salzenmoon open to a second destruction at the hands of Archaon. I believe it's already been through one.
I'll have this world. Ravage them.
Just going to loot and raise, get even more favor from the Dark Gods. And for now, I'm going to keep these couple of Chosen in the army with Sigvald. I'll soon replace them. We need to wipe the Empire out, because clearly leaving them alive is going to allow for stuff that I don't approve of. I'm also not approving of this rivalry thing. It hasn't affected any of my other armies. It must be these Marauder units, because none of the other units have done it. We'll see for sure whenever we get these trolls, but I think it's the Marauder units, and if it is, then we're going to ditch the Marauder units, because that's a pain in the butt, and we'll just give them a different type of army. We do need to get rid of the rest of these troops. I'm going to go ahead and continue to recruit in while camping here. We've got some skill or some growth points to build up anyway with Felman, so that would be quite appropriate for him to remain put for a moment. I do want to go ahead and knock out Dieterschaffen and then push south to Weismund, Karlberg, and see if we can finish off what's left of the Empire here. In the meantime, actually, Cocoa Pox can make the journey to the Gormandy Mountains to just trigger this right there. So we'll move Cocoa Pox out there and let him trigger this quest battle for Sigvald. Patchy Eversalt has leveled up, and we can finish his Tribes of Chaos to maximize the growth for his horde. A character also levels up. I mean, he has really got the name there. We can put him on a Manticore, which would be pretty cool. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. I don't know what's going on with Vicious Gobspit. Both his name and his actions are rather strange. At this point, Archaon's army is actually almost entirely 9 Chevron. They're very, very close to it. So his army is absolutely fearsome at this point. That's the way it's supposed to be. So Dieterschaffen lies in ruin. There's very little left of the Empire other than these few settlements here to the north, which will be dealt with. And we need to push south and deal with the remaining settlements as well. And that honestly will be a good pushing off point to invade Ulthuan with Sigvald. And hopefully someone will take up the Sword of Cain. Indeed they are right now. If we obtain the Sword of Cain, that would just be some beautiful chaos icing on this apocalyptic cake that we're serving up to the old world. How about that, folks? Made that sound like a treat. So we're going to move up Patchy here. His loyal character injured temporarily. Kolek continues to take attrition. I'm pretty certain that that's just because of these Marauder units. It is, because the Manticore is not taking attrition, so this is a waste of time. I'm not going to deal with this. It's annoying, so I'm going to disband these units. I guess it's just the Marauder units at this point that suffer that type of attrition, which makes them rather useless and pointless to this effort. Though I don't really have a whole lot else to give them right now, but we could, at least right now, Felman could start. I'll tell you what might be interesting with Felman. We could do some Forsaken, along with the units that we've already put there, and then the Trolls could back up the Forsaken as kind of a nice touch there. I don't know about Dragon Ogres. We'll see. I'm going to put the Forsaken backed up by some Trolls. You all tell me what you think of the idea. I think it'd actually be kind of interesting. And then maybe some cannons or something too. Little artillery couldn't hurt. And that, you guys help me build out the rest of this, what we should do. I'm not going to put up with the infighting attrition. I was already kind of skeptical of keeping the Marauder army this late in the game, but we're certainly not going to put up with that. That is going to be all the time I have for this one. I think that what we're going to do is, as I come into the next episode, I'll do a heavily edited version of me kind of mopping up these 3 settlements, and then we'll kind of do the final attacks through Altdorf to Marienburg, and also Helmgart, while Kolek and Felman destroy Ehrengrad, Zoishank, and Bay of Blades. And then that should actually lead us to the destruction of the Empire on the next episode, leaving Sigvald and Patchy to sail to Ulthuan, and it's going to leave Archaon ready to go start cleaning up the Knights of Bretonnia, and we may get a companion army to accompany him through Bretonnia. We're going to have a vampire redo here as we clean out Sylvania once again, but before we do so, I'm going to extinct the vampire faction and see if we can resubjugate a few of these Norse factions. So that'll be the destruction of the vampires and the awakening of our Norse vassals will be the duty of Felman and Kolek for now. But we've got a lot of work to do in this campaign, folks. A long way to go. I hope you're enjoying it. I love making it for you, and I'll be back soon with more.